Hey guys, it's Christy with Christy's Custom Creations, and I have recently learned about holographic silicone molds. So you pour your epoxy in, and whenever you demold your artwork, it has a holographic look to it, as you can see here in this picture. So I went online and I went on the hunt for some silicone holographic molds, and I found some from Juliart Studios, and I will link her down in the description box below. And I think I got about 4 or 5 molds from her, but we've got about 4 molds that I'm going to show you how to use in this video. So as long as you keep your molds in good condition, then the holographic look will remain. It will last the life of your mold. So I've got some epoxy mixed up here, and I just put in a little bit of Unicorn Dreams. It is a glitter from my KCC glitter line, and I am mixing it into my mixed epoxy. So for this, I mixed up 30 milliliters of epoxy, and I ended up needing a little bit more for this mold. This mold actually took 50 milliliters of epoxy. So once I get my glitter mixed thoroughly into my epoxy, I am just pouring it into the mold. Now, take note, you should always thoroughly mix your epoxy before you mix any glitter, colorant, anything like that into it. So my epoxy was fully mixed before I added the glitter to it. And I don't know if you can tell or not in the video, but this mold here actually has a little bit of like a rose gold look to it, and that's because I had tried burnishing some mica powders onto it to see if it would give it like a color shifting holographic look. Just so you know, it didn't work. So I didn't even bother to include that in this video. So burnishing the micas onto your mold beforehand for the holographic look, it doesn't work. You want just regular epoxy. Now you could take epoxy and mix mica powder into it like I did with the glitter. Now this is 91% alcohol, and I am just spraying the alcohol over the mold, and what that does is it pops any micro bubbles that are in that epoxy from stirring and everything. Look how pretty this is. I can't wait to see this demolded. So before I put my glitter epoxy mixture in, I do like to spritz my molds with a little bit of the rubbing alcohol because that helps a lot too. Now this is a lighter purple holographic chunky mix that I carry in my glitter line. It's called Charmed. It is so pretty, and I'm going to pour it into this butterfly holographic mold. For this mold, I have mixed up 50 milliliters of epoxy. And after mixing the epoxy thoroughly, that's whenever I put my glitter into my epoxy, and then I mixed that thoroughly in there. And once I get my epoxy in there, I'm going to do the exact same thing with the alcohol. I am just going to spritz my mold here so that it gets rid of any micro bubbles. And it's actually very oddly satisfying to watch the micro bubbles pop whenever the rubbing alcohol hits the mold. But I love this glitter in this mold. So here's my alcohol, and I'm just going to spritz it. And if you look carefully, you can see the micro bubbles popping whenever the alcohol hits it. And these last 2 molds here are pretty small molds. So I mixed up 30 milliliters of epoxy, and I split it half and half. I've got about 15 milliliters of epoxy in the smaller container, and then 15 milliliters in the other one. This first color is called Baywatch. It's just a really pretty red metallic glitter that I carry in my glitter line. KCCglitter.com. I'll have that link down in the description box below, but look how pretty that red is. It's just very pretty. And this is called 8 Ball. 8 Ball is a black holographic glitter. It is so hard to find a glitter that actually sparkles under epoxy, and this glitter really does actually sparkle under epoxy. It is so pretty. It's such a beautiful black glitter. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing with both of these molds. I'm just going to spritz them lightly with my 91% alcohol, and I'm going to go ahead and pour my epoxy glitter mixture into each mold. So this first one, the flower, I'm going with red, my Baywatch glitter. And then the second one, I'm going to go in with the black 8 Ball, and I'm going to pour it in for the kitty cat head. Now that they are poured, I can actually see the micro bubbles rising to the surface, and so I just give them a quick spritz with the alcohol, and you can see here in the video how those micro bubbles are popping right here on video. It's so neat to watch. I love watching the micro bubbles pop. I know it's weird. So I mentioned earlier that I did not have enough epoxy for my first mold mixed up, so I'm going to go back in with some more Unicorn Dreams. And y'all, if y'all have not used Unicorn Dreams before, it is the prettiest white glitter ever. It is my favorite white glitter. So I've got 20 more milliliters of epoxy mixed up, and I'm going to just do the exact same thing I did before. I'm going to go ahead and spritz my mold with the first bit of epoxy on it, and I'm just going to add some more epoxy to it. Now I did let this epoxy completely dry in my mold before I poured the second bit. I used Tumbler Epoxy 2.0 for this mold, so it actually dried pretty quickly within just a few hours. So I figured it was time to go ahead and top this sand dollar mold off with this epoxy and with 20 more milliliters. So I think this mold here actually took 50 milliliters of epoxy to fill up the way it should be. So what I'm doing here, I am taking my popsicle stick and I am moving that epoxy around to make sure that I've got the entire surface filled and covered up with the new epoxy. So because it was, you know, a much smaller amount, I wanted to push it around, make sure that everywhere got covered so that it was completely even as it cured. Once again, I'm going in with my 91% alcohol, and I am just spritzing this mold, and I'm going to let it sit and let those micro bubbles pop. And now after I let it sit overnight, so it is time to demold. And y'all, look how cool that is. Like, what is this magic here? I'm obsessed. I love looking at these holographic molds. They're just the way that it transfers the holographic look onto our pieces here, it blows my mind. Look how cool that looks. Now this butterfly is one of my favorites because I love how when it's demolded, how it's got all the different shifts to it. It's just really cool. Check that out, y'all. So you've got like a holographic glitter in there plus a holographic look on the butterfly. And this is our sand dollar. This sand dollar is so cool, and the Unicorn Dreams, the white glitter, looks absolutely amazing in it. So it's really hard to catch on camera because it is white and really light, but y'all, it is absolutely stunning. I gotta show you again. Look how pretty that is. So I will link this company down in the description box below, Juliart Studios, and she has got some really cool silicone molds on there for pouring epoxy, so check her out. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And as always, I hope y'all have a great day. Y'all take care. Bye.